So welcome to the third talk in the series this month, which is the month's theme, A World That Works for Everyone. And that is our intention, is it not? The world that works for everyone. And today's talk is being the change. Being the change. So, I've been thinking a lot this month about dead bodies. There's wonderful opportunities out there for dead bodies, okay? After you're done with them, cadavers make a big difference in the world. They really do. Now, now there is the traditional disposal, right, of bodies. We bury them, we cremate them. Sometimes we bury them at sea. But I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about the whole host of opportunities there are for dead bodies to serve the world and do good work. For example, there is organ donation, yes? You have a little dot on your driver's license, anybody? Or you're going to donate your body to research. You have to do the paperwork in advance, just letting you know. It's a lengthy piece of paperwork, but you have to do it in advance. But it is a great way for your body to do really good work in the world after you've moved out of it. It's true, right? We can donate organs, we can donate tissue, we can donate body parts, and it benefits people around here. We can donate our bodies to science. And in that way, bodies go on to do fascinating work in a variety of fields. Sometimes our old used bodies, we don't need any more, go to medical teaching hospitals, where surgical procedures are perfected by doctors who use the cadavers instead of having to practice on live bodies. Isn't that nice? I think that's a good idea. I think that's a great thing. Practice on the cadavers, and then there's no malpractice, there's, none of that. It's a great way for surgeons to gain skill. That's just one thing. The University of California, San Francisco, is a teaching hospital, and they use cadavers to perform reconstructive surgery and plastic surgery. So I started thinking about that, and I'm like, oh my God. I could get a tummy tuck and a facelift, and my dead body can look better than it ever did while I was in it. Wow, Okay, so here's another career that dead bodies go into. Did you know that crash test dummies are not always dummies? Sometimes crash test dummies are cadavers. It's true. Dead bodies go on to fabulous careers in automobile safety. They do. Crash test dummies, the mannequins, can record how much PSI is inflicted on the body, pounds per square inch. But it takes a cadaver to let scientists know how much PSI can actually break specific bones, because they need to have bones and crash test dummies don't. So cadavers are signed up to do that work. This is fascinating stuff, right? You're all thinking. Then there are body farms. They do wonderful work. There's a big body farm in Tennessee. I think there's one in Texas also, where dead bodies just get to lay out in the sunshine, and in the elements, and scientists record the rate of decomposition. And this goes on to help law enforcement. When law enforcement finds a dead body, they know specifically how long it's been there because of the work cadavers do in body farms. This is fascinating stuff. This is valuable work our dead bodies can go on to do when we no longer need them. Yeah, this is amazing stuff. Mary Roach, I got this information, a lot of it, from the book Mary Roach wrote called Stiff. Settle down, it's not what you think. It's about the interesting things that our bodies go on to do after we've checked out of them. It's a marvelous thing. So we don't need them anymore. After we transition out of them, we go to our next greater yet to be. We leave behind these fabulous tools that can be used for the betterment of humankind. And so you're probably thinking at this point, where on earth is she going with this talk? So really what I was thinking of is, imagine if that's all the ways, and there's way more than that. Get the book, read the book, it's fascinating. But if that's just some of the ways that dead bodies go on to serve the greater good after we don't need them anymore, Can you possibly imagine how many opportunities that there are to serve while we're still in them? How many different and wonderful things that we can do while we're still occupying these bodies. Think about all the things you're able to do. Think about our intelligence, our talents. Think about the gifts, our creativity. It is endless. It is endless. Our self-expression is as individualized as we are. There's 7.5 billion people walking around on the earth right now, and each one of them different from the other. There has never been a you before, and there never will be again. And no two of us are alike, so the talents and the gifts we have are not alike. You are here to give your individual gift and talent, and nobody else can take that place. Nobody else can do what you do in the exact same way you do it. Ernest Holmes had a radio show called This Thing Called Life. And on one of them he said this: the singer wishes to sing. Right? Wonderful. The singer wishes to sing. The dancer wishes to dance. The man engaged in business wishes to be a success. The man with a family wishes to provide for them. He wishes to be happy with them. Self-expression is not selfishness. Selfishness is seeking individual good at the expense of others. Self-expression means we live with others in happiness, giving to each the privilege of expressing every talent he possesses and rejoicing with him in his success. That's what we are here to do. We are here to express those God-given talents that each one of us has, and they're individual and unique as your fingerprint. Your gift is a gift that nobody else can give but you. We each love to do different things. We have individual talents and gifts to share with the world. And you know, when you refuse to use them, you lose them. You know that whole if you don't use it, you lose it thing? It's just like not going to the gym ever. And you know, just like that muscle, it's just going to atrophy if you don't work it. You're here to give what you've got. You're here to use your talents in the world. You're here to donate your time, your talent, your energy, your gifts. Yeah, baby. Sing it, sing it. So who have you come to be? Who have you come to be? What have you come to give to the world? You know, where do you want to be the change? Going back to the title, right? Being the change. Where do you want to be the change? Like that Gandhi quote, you know, be the change. What is it? Be the change you wish to see in the world. Hate to burst your bubble, but he never said it. You know, when you go to cite quotes like this and you really start doing the research, you find out what's really been said. And here's what Brian Morton wrote in the New York Times. He had done the research, and he said, turns out there is no reliable documentary evidence for that quotation. The closest verifiable remark we have from Gandhi is this: if we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change toward him. We need not wait to see what others do. That's really the quote. That's the closest thing that we can get to that quote that he allegedly said but did not. And for me, the biggest part, the important part of that quote is the end. We need not wait to see what others do. Because what we do is uniquely ours. We don't need to wait to see what others are doing because it doesn't matter what others are doing. It matters that we demonstrate our own talents and we give of our own gifts. It doesn't matter what this guy's doing or what that guy's doing. Let everybody do what they do. It has no bearing on your gift and what you can do, exactly the way you can do it. And our artists know this, right? Our singers know this. God, I mean, was that the most beautiful song you've ever heard? I mean, that rendition was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your gift and sharing it with us. Nobody can sing like Robbie can sing. And it's the same way with all the other artists. Mark plays the piano, just awesome. And nobody plays the piano exactly like he does. It's different, even if you play the same song, right? It's just different. It's just different. It's that individual talent. No two are alike. Same thing with painters. right? All the different painters. Think of all the French Impressionists. They all had their own style. Even though they were doing something similar, they all had their own signature. No two were alike. Everything is unique and individual. Same goes for cooking. God only knows. I stood next to my mother for years, and I tried to make my spaghetti sauce taste like her spaghetti sauce, and it never worked. It never worked. And it's really interesting because she always complained hers wasn't like her mother's. I didn't like her mother's, but I loved my mother's. And so, you can stand right next to somebody and do exactly what they do with the exact same ingredients. It doesn't taste quite the same. It just doesn't. Styles are similar, but our individuality, what we bring to it, is the thing that we can only do in our own individual way. Building, woodworking, singing, painting, any of it. We do everything in a unique, individualized way, and nobody else can do what you can do the way you do it. So comparing ourselves is just death. When we compare ourselves to someone else who's doing similar things, I think we come away feeling like we're not good enough, right? Isn't that kind of what we do? When we start comparing ourselves with somebody else, it's always, oh, they do it so much better. I don't even know why I even bother. I don't know why I bother. Or, here's another thing. We think we can't do the thing that we're being called to do. And that sometimes stops us in our tracks before we even do it. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough, big enough, old enough, young enough, degreed enough. Fill in the blank. We have a whole list of why we're not good enough. And those things kill countless ideas when we compare ourselves to other or when we doubt that we're able to do it. Either way, it comes back to that underlying false belief, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And now here's the good news. The good news is the I'm not good enough story is a fable. It's a phony, false, made-up story. We made it up in our heads, and we carry it around with us. And we bring it out when we are in times of stress, or when we get nervous, or when we're trying something for the first time. We cart out our old story. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. It's a story. It's a story, and we've made it up in our heads, and maybe it got reinforced by the big people around us when we were little. Who knows? Does it matter? If we're going to walk around carrying that old story around with us, what did Ernest Holmes used to say? Talk about dead bodies. He used to say, if you're going to cart around the corpse of your past around on your shoulder, you're never going to get where you want to go. You got to drop the story. You've got to drop the old story. That was just a way to keep you down, keep you small, keep you from doing the things that you really want to do. It's a story. And so the answer to I'm not good enough, the answer to your I'm not good enough fairy tale is to invent a new story. Look, this is only going on in your head. The whole story thing is only going on in your head. So if you're making it up anyway, make up a better story. And then we give ourselves permission to try those things that maybe we're afraid to try, maybe that we think we're not good enough to try. Change the story in our heads. That's really easy to do. We can change the story, and then we go on to take that little step, to do that little thing. Even if we're scared, even if we don't think we're good enough, even if we doubt our abilities to accomplish it successfully, we still just take the first step because we're changing the story in our heads. And that is the way to do something. We have to get out of our own way, and we have to take the little baby step anyway, even if we're not feeling confident that we're capable of doing it. Ernest Holmes said this in Help for Today. He said, in practically every case I have known where individuals have found release from depression and boredom, participation has been the answer. Let me say that again. Participation has been the answer. By participation, we mean entering into the activities of life, sharing companionship, giving our talents, expressing our love, developing creative associations, jumping in with both feet, getting involved in the activities of life, allowing our self-expression to bubble up through us and manifest in some way in the world. Entering in the activities of life is giving ourselves permission to give our gifts. To give our gifts. That's what we're doing. If we're going to set the intention to be the change, the first thing we have to do is change our behavior. We have to change our behavior. We have to get past the I'm not good enough story and jump into the activity of life. Even if we're tentative or unsure, even if the story is still kind of there in the back of our minds going, don't know, that little critical parent or whomever, we do it anyway. We do it anyway. We get past thinking we cannot do something by doing it, right? We get past thinking we cannot do it by doing it. We have a contribution to make. We have a gift to give. We can ease the suffering of others. We can improve things around us in small, small little ways. We can be the change that we wish to see in the world. You know, one of the things I do is take my dog, Dolce, for a walk around the neighborhood. And if I'm feeling really energetic, I have a small walk, a medium walk, a large walk, depending on how many miles I want to get in. But I usually take a trash bag with me because I figure, well, I'm out there walking anyway. If there's litter on the ground, I'll pick it up. I'll just pick it up, and then when I get home, I throw it away. It's a little teeny tiny dinky thing, you know, and it's really kind of trivial, but it makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm doing something good for the neighborhood. And it's just a small way that I could be the change in the world. And that's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about these big, gigantic, I'm going to save the world. No, I'm just going to save my little part of it. And if we all save our little part of it, we transform the world, yes? Absolutely, absolutely. And we know that everything begins in consciousness. Ernest Holmes has said, everything starts with consciousness. So this I'm not good enough stuff, that's a head story. That's just a story we're making up in our heads. So we challenge that story by saying affirmations that declare the truth. We don't want to fight against the story. We don't want to argue with the I'm not good enough stuff. But we say affirmations to declare the truth. And then we take a little baby step. And then that little baby step is successful, and it reinforces the affirmation, doesn't it? It reinforces the true statement, not the story we're making up. So we have to do a little bit of both. It's like we do the consciousness work, and then we follow it up by a little leg work. And we do a consciousness work, we follow it up with a little leg work. So little by little, we transform ourselves. We transform our little part of the world. We cannot wait until we're feeling totally awesome before we do something in the world. If we all waited until we were perfect in the world and perfect and awesome, and we'd never do anything. We'd never do anything. Nothing would ever get done. I certainly wouldn't be standing here because God only knows I got work doing. You know, everybody has work to do. You can't wait until all of your issues are over before you do the good work in the world. You do them, and what happens is those successes reinforce your awesomeness. They reinforce your awesomeness. And that's one of the ways, you've heard that term, fake it till you make it, right? Well, that's one of the ways that we do that. We use our affirmations, we keep reminding ourselves the truth of who we are, and then we go out and we stretch a little bit. And we do this physical work in the world we don't think maybe we're up to, but we do it anyway, and we come back with a success, which makes us more confident to then go out and do more work, to go out and do more good work. And that's really the way it works. See, the phony stuff in our lives, the fake story, the false belief is I'm not good enough. That is the false belief. That's the BS, belief system. It's not the truth of us. It is not the truth of us. The truth is that we are whole, perfect, and complete all along. And remember, we said that a couple of weeks ago. I said perfect doesn't mean flawless. I'm not saying we're walking around as flawless human beings. I'm saying perfect, the definition meaning lacking nothing. When you think of the dictionary definition of perfect, meaning like a perfect equation or a perfect recipe, it has all the right ingredients. It's lacking nothing. That's what we mean when we say we are whole, perfect, and complete. It doesn't mean we're flawless. We all have issues. Everybody's working on something. it means we are lacking nothing. We have everything within us to succeed, to be that success, to give that gift, to be that talent in the world, to do all the things that we know that we're come here to do. And in this faith tradition, we know that we have tools that we can rely on to facilitate the kind of healing we're looking for so that we can be that in the world. We have affirmations. We have a 5-step affirmative prayer to declare our truth. We have meditation. We have visioning. And Ernest Holmes said this. He said, a religious science church is a place where only 2 things happen. People are taught about a divine presence and a law of good, which reacts to it. A divine presence and a law of good that reacts to it. And people are taught how to use it. That's it. He goes on to say, we have nothing else to sell. That's all there is to it. There is a divine presence. There is a universal law for good. And we're taught how to use it. So all the changes go on in our heads by affirmation, by prayer, by meditation, by visualization, by visioning. All of those changes are mental activities that go on in our heads. But it enables us to have the self-confidence to take those baby steps that we need to take to do the work in the world. And then once we do the work in the world, it reinforces those mental affirmations and prayers that we've been doing so that the truth of us really becomes uncovered. We develop the consciousness to take the larger steps, to be the bigger thing in the world, because we've built on this platform of truth instead of false belief. And the truth is we're whole, perfect, and complete all along. See how that works? We are whole, perfect, and complete all along. We choose the thoughts that reflect the truth of who we are. And I know sometimes you think, oh, I can't help it. I'm thinking whatever. I can't help it. I think whatever. But, you're the only one that can. You're the only one in your head. It's like those old horror films, where the cops are on the line with the little girl and they're like, get out of the house. The phone call is coming from inside the house. Get out. The phone call is coming from inside the house. There's nobody else up there but us. We're the only ones inside of our own heads. So we are the only ones that can change those thoughts. So we change our thoughts. We choose thoughts that are affirmative instead of negative. We listen to the speech that's going on, the narration that's going on in our heads, and we choose otherwise. So we get rid of the I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm too old, I'm not educated enough, all the other reasons why, we can't do what we want to do in the world. And we affirm the truth of us. We affirm the truth of us. God is good all the time. And that seed of perfection that is nestled within us, it responds to that. It responds to that. So we choose thoughts that make us feel good. We choose affirmative thoughts. Then we refocus our energy on how we can serve others instead of being consumed by our own thoughts and feelings. You know how that is? You get all inside your own head, and then there's no place to be good in the world. Because we get all stuck in our own story, we get all stuck in our own heads, and we get so consumed by it, we don't have the time or the energy to do the work in the world that we would see done. And what we know is true is that the cure for sadness is service. The cure for sadness is service all the time. It gets us out of our own story. It gets us out of our own heads. We go on to do good work in the world, and it lifts not only us but everybody else up. It's a gift we give to ourselves and the people that we serve. It is the absolute, it is the antidote to that, pity party that you throw for yourself every now and then. We refocus our energy on how we can serve others and how we can be in the world. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, if we have but one talent, we should use it. For in so doing, we shall uncover other talents. And there is a talent we all possess, and that is the ability to be kind, to have an understanding heart and mind to be tolerant and well-disposed toward others. In using this talent, we need not wait for any great event, for all around us there are those who are famished for the lack of just a little human affection, just a morsel of kindness, just a bit of understanding, something that will make them feel like they too belong to the activity of life. That's what we're here to do. We're a spiritual community to uplift not only ourselves, but everyone around us. And by doing the work that we do here, by knowing the truth for ourselves and others, for being that light in the world and letting your light shine, letting your love, letting that unconditioned love of humanity out, then you shine so brightly that you change the lives of people around you. And then they change, and then they change others by their light shining so brightly. So we ready to be the change? We ready to be the change? It's such a little thing. It's just such a little thing. That baby step, that one little baby step that just drives home the fact that, yes, that is who I am. That is who I am. That is the truth of me. Get rid of the old phony story. It doesn't play here. Doesn't play here anymore. And be that change that you wish to see in the world, because as we do that work, we do change the world around us. Thank you so much.